later in the semester. So first thing to orient yourself is find the ventricle, the one ventricle, which kind of looks like it might be the whole heart, but it's just the ventricle. And then behind that, the little flaps, can you see all right?
Yeah.
Are the left and right atria. So it has 2 atria. And if you pull up on the ventricle, connecting to the ventricle, it's kind of triangular. That's the sinus venosus. And then going into the sinus venosus, you can see kind of like the corners of the triangle, the left and the right branch. Oh, sorry. Left and right common cardinal veins. Common cardinal veins. Going into the sinus venosus. Okay, so from the ventricle, where it gets skinnier, is the conus arteriosus. Where it gets bigger is the bulbus arteriosus. And then you can't really see it, you can barely, but you can kind of imagine the left and right branch from the bulbus arteriosus. Those are the right and left branch of the ventral aorta. It's on the ventral side, okay? And if you put the probe under there, you can see that. Okay, and then, whoops. You're fine. And then afferent means going to, efferent means coming from. You can remember that because it's alphabetical order. You'll hear that word again later in the semester. So you won't be able to see them, but the vessels going to the gills are the afferent branchial arteries, and the pink in the gills, because the vessels are going to get oxygen from the gills, so coming from the gills are pink, are the efferent branchial arteries. So these are the gills. And this is a lung.
Wait, so afferent was 2?
Coming from, because it's
Okay.
alphabetical order, A then E.
Okay.
Cross off external carotid artery. Can't see it in this one, but you have internal carotid artery. And a bunch of these are really easy to see on page 155 of the new version of the spiral bound. It looks pretty much the same. So you can see the internal carotid artery right there. And then you can see on here the efferent branchial arteries and the pulmonary artery and where they connect. So that area is shunted either to and from the gills or the lungs, depending on if they're breathing in the water or the air. Okay. And then from the gills, collecting into the dorsal aorta are the roots or the radices of the aorta. So right there, you can see it coming from the gills. Root or radice of the aorta, dorsal aorta. And then the branch that goes into the arm is the subclavian artery. It's pretty obvious. Okay, dorsal aorta. And then around either side of the dorsal aorta, the 2 blue vessels are the right and left posterior cardinal veins. So that's way on the bottom, around the dorsal aorta. And then, so this is the liver. This is the stomach. So you can see really easily the one aorta or one artery going to the stomach. So that's the gastric artery. And then for the celiaco-mesenteric artery, cross off just the celiaco because it got detached, but I want you to know the mesenteric arteries. So that's here. If you grab on the intestines and pull, you can see all the arteries. So mesenteric arteries. And then this big thing is a testy. So if you pull that over, you can see a whole bunch of vessels. Those are the arteries and genital arteries and veins. And if you find the kidney, so you can kind of see it easier on the dorsal side, you just have to find the squiggly white structure where it's not so squiggly, I guess. In this gray area here, you can see very faint pink arteries, so those are the renal arteries. If you pull on the leg, you can see the iliac artery going to the leg. If you look at the cut in the tail, you can see the caudal artery, and then the caudal vein doesn't have dye in it, but it's just the hole adjacent to the caudal artery. Post-caval vein is like posterior vena cava. Any questions?